Welcome, everybody. My name is Vincente Del Real. I'm the founder and I serve as executive director of Iscali. Iscali is a ministry that serves first and second generation Latinos. Our mission is to equip and empower young Latinos to be faith-filled and spirit-filled transformative leaders. We hope to do with this generation of young Latinos what Juan Diego did with his generation. Speak to them in a language they understand and a language that is relevant to them, so they may come to know that God has loved them always, and that love can transform their lives. Welcome. It's my pleasure to share these 20 minutes with you. I was asked to talk a little bit about how to engage young people that are no longer engaged in the church. So I hope that this presentation is useful to you and you might find some insights. I will be sharing my screen and sharing some a PowerPoint presentation that I put together for you just to facilitate the presentation, if you give me 1 second. So first of all, I'm going to use two sources for this presentation. The first source is Evangelii Gaudium by Pope Francis, the exhortation of the joy of the gospel. And then a second source is the Evangelizer of the Americas by Father Virgilio Elizondo, who I found to be very insightful about the theme of evangelization. And I like to start with evangelization because at the end of the day, that's what we are trying to do. So start off us with, what is evangelization? First of all, first thing we need to know is Jesus started. He commissioned his followers to go to the whole world and preach the gospel to every creature. This is not something we made up. This is not something we are trying to do in this new age of the church, or this is not something that the saints made up. We are commissioned by Jesus to do this. Just as Jesus commissioned his first followers, today we are also commissioned by Jesus to preach the gospel to every creature. Evangelization in the early church was thought as going to the foreign mission, right? Going to announce the good news where the good news haven't arrived, to take the gospel to those who have not yet have it. Today, evangelization is understood more in the context of, is the task of the church everywhere. Yes, there's missions where we take the gospel to areas where people have not heard the mission yet, but today, especially today, is the task of the church everywhere. And we also talk about the new evangelization. So what is the new evangelization? The new evangelization is evangelization to those who are baptized, right? Yes, there is a lot of baptized Catholics. There is a lot of baptized Christians that are not necessarily evangelized, that not necessarily have had the personal encounter with Jesus. So the approach. I'd like to start talking about, what should be our approach to evangelization? What should be our approach as evangelizers? And I really like what Father Virgilio says here. He says, we cannot go to the people as foreigners, outsiders, or experts, but we must go to become intimately one with the people we seek to serve. Many times, especially with young people, especially with young adults, our approach might be to go to them as experts, as I am the guy with the answers. I am the guy that has the answer to what you need in your life. You need 1, 2, and 3, and you don't know it. So I came to tell you what you need. The approach that I'm inviting you to consider is not the approach of an outsider or an expert that has the answers, but somebody that seeks to be in an intimate relationship with those that you seek to serve. And for this, I'm gonna tell you a story that can illustrate this a little bit. And not too long ago, I was in one of the meetings of the young adult communities here in Iscali, and the pastor from the parish came in and said to one of the young adults, "When are you joining the seminary?" And the young adult replied to him, "Father, do you know what is my name?" The father got red. He had no idea what was his name. Well, if we hope to serve, we shouldn't be telling people what the answer, but rather become close to them, have an intimate relationship to them. What is their name? What are their desires? What are their fears? What are their hopes in their life? That should be the approach of every evangelizer. Yes, we need good preachers, but most of all, we need people that are willing to go out and enter in an intentional relationship with people so we can serve them, understand them properly. Father Vigilio says, we must learn from them about their view of life, their problems, their anxieties, their traditions, their wisdom. As I said before, we should not go to them as the expert, but we should go to them honestly as a student, as somebody that is here to learn, as somebody that is here to walk with you. Yes, you will, you bring something unique and special. That is the good news, the joy of the gospel. But you should also consider that they have wisdom in their own lives and you can learn from them. This is, you are a companion, you're not necessarily leading, but you are walking with them, learning. How can you tell somebody what they need in their lives or give them advice if you don't know what are their problems? If you don't know what they are their goals? It's important to go as a student, An evangelizer is first a student, learning from the people you seek to serve, so you can have that intimate relationship again. Father Vigilio says the Christian evangelizer should be distinguished himself or herself by his ability to learn from the people he wants to serve. If you have the great desire, the vocation to serve among the young people in the church, my first advice is the young people of the church are not the young people in the church 20 years ago. Things are changing every day. Technology, social media, the way young people connect, the way young people speak, what is important to them, priorities, education, jobs, there's many different complex realities among young people. If you seek to serve them, you must first understand the complex realities that they live. You must first understand them. So if you want to be a good evangelizer, you better distinguish yourself by somebody that has the ability to learn from the people you seek to serve. You want to serve young people? Learn from young people. Learn from young people. Listen. Read. Become an expert of the different realities. You should know their names. You should know their dreams. The first question is, how to proclaim the gospel, the good news, through the symbols, through language, through customs and traditions of the people. Think about this. What are some of the symbols that are important to young people today? What is the language that they use? What are some of the customs, the traditions of young people today? What are they? How do we unveil the loving and redeeming God that is already present and is already working among them? How do we realize that God is already with them and working among them? We are not bringing God. God has arrived. How do we help them unveil the loving and redeeming love of God that is already present with them? This is an important question. This is an important question. And we should be able to ask ourselves these questions in order to have an approach that is grounded in a reality that is concrete, and not in a reality that I just think, we all have our own reality in our mind, but a reality that is concrete. So some of the examples, right? St. Paul in the Greek world, he was able to engage with the Greeks and philosophy arguments. St. Boniface in Germany, St. Patrick in Ireland, use local symbols. Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico, Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to the indigenous men, San Juan Diego, who is a saint now, and spoke to him, not in Spanish, spoke to him in his first language, Nahuatl. Spoke to him through symbols we know today, through symbols, through colors that he understood. Use words that had deep meaning in the tradition and the culture of Juan Diego. Juan Diego understood. Juan Diego understood. And not only Juan Diego understood, the generation of Juan Diego understood. How do we do that? How do we follow the example, the star of the new evangelization, or Lady of Guadalupe? How do we follow her example of speaking the language of the people, presenting God with symbols they understand and language they understand in a way that is relevant to them? San John Bosco to the young people. If you study the story of the Salesians, you will learn that it wasn't easy to serve young people in the time of John Bosco. But he had a concrete vocation to evangelize this group of people. And I feel that we need new John Boscos today. We need new people that are willing to serve the young people in the church, especially if we want a church that takes in consideration young people, takes in consideration people that are many times suffering, that need company, that need God, that need the joy of the gospel. What other examples do you know of people, of saints that evangelize very specific context? What other examples? How can you become one of them? Just as St. Paul was to the Greeks, how can you become a disciple, an apostle to the young people in your diocese, to the young people in your parish? What would it take? Where would you start? Something to think about. Now I want to transition to talk a little bit about, and I'm looking at the time here, to talk a little bit about some of the guidance that Pope Francis gives us. And I have 3 quotes that I like to go over with them, and all of these are from Evangelical. I mean, Pope Francis says, to be an evangelizer, the first invitation is to renew your personal encounter with Jesus Christ. Are you willing to renew your personal encounter with Jesus? And if you're not, are you at least open to letting him encounter you? Beautiful. If you're not willing to encounter God, are you willing to let God encounter you? Beautiful. And I think this is where all starts. As an evangelizer, as a disciple, we need to renew our personal encounter with Jesus. or at least be open to letting him encounter us. You should reflect on this in your own personal journey of faith. What do you need to do? Have you been hiding from Jesus? He's been calling you, inviting you. Have you been hiding? Through the pandemic, all of us were hiding in a way. Did you hide from Jesus too? Well, today, receive an invitation from him to renew your personal encounter with him. And if you're not ready, are you open to let him encounter you? Are you open to let him encounter you? The renewal of the church starts with your own personal renewal of personal encounter with Jesus. Then Pope Francis gives us some guidance about what an evangelizer community is meant to do. An evangelizer community knows that the Lord has taken initiative. He has loved us first. Many times we feel that we are the only ones out there. I'm the only one trying to work with young people. I'm the only one trying to do something here. We should become aware as a community that God took the first step by loving us. And just as God took the first step to encounter us and love us, we should also take the first step by going out and encountering others. Pope Francis uses the term in Spanish, primeriar, which literally means to take the first step. God chose that he took the first step to encounter us. And he is inviting us to take initiative and to take the first step to encounter others. What is that first step that you need to take to encounter others? What is the first step that God is calling you to take to encounter others? He's inviting you, with no doubt, he's inviting you to take initiative. With no doubt, he's inviting you to say, here I am, Lord. And he's inviting you to go out there and encounter a young person and enter in an intimate, intentional relationship with them. Walk with them and let them walk with you. Because God takes initiative, he also challenges you to take initiative. He also challenges you to take initiative. And the last quote I like to share with you is, pastoral ministry and missionary key seeks to abandon the complacent attitude that says, we have always done it this way. How many times have you heard this in the church? I have many. Father, we should do this. We have always done it this way. You go to the coordinator of the ministry. We should try this. We should be bold and try something different. No. We should always done it this way. We have always done it this way. We must be ready to be renewed. And what Pope Francis is not changing the message. He is just inviting us to change our approach, to be open to be renewed. And this is a beautiful invitation. He says, I invite everyone to be bold and creative in the task of rethinking. What do we need to do? Be bold and creative and rethinking 4 things. The goals, the structures, the style, and the methods of evangelization and the prospective communities. And I want to leave you with this invitation. How can you be bold and creative in your own community and rethinking what are the goals, the structures, the style, and the methods of evangelization as you hope to reach disengaged young Catholics? How are you entering in relationship with them? How are you entering in a relationship with them? How are you inviting them? What is the style? What is the structure? What is the first step? What is the first step? I'm going to read this quote and I'm going to finish with this, and hopefully this can also become a prayer. You know, when we don't have the answers, we should just pray. I invite everybody, everyone to be bold and creative and in this task of rethinking the goals, the structures, the style, and the methods of evangelization and their prospective communities. I think we have a lot to renew in the church. We have a lot to rethink. But I think the basic message here is you want to serve disengaged young Catholics, you must rethink how you enter in an intimate relationship with them. How do you listen to them? How do you learn from them? Where are you willing to go to walk with them? I have no doubt that young people in your parish, young people in your diocese are hungry for Jesus, are hungry to encounter the love of God in their lives. I can hear their cry as I hear the cry of young people across the nation. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? Where are you willing to go? Where are you willing to go? God bless you. And it's my pleasure to walk with you from far. Count with my prayers, and I hope I can count with your prayers. God bless.